And it's 8:12.
So, Bill,
Coming up, partly cloudy skies today, high 25, sun and clouds. Yes, Andrew.
so, Evan Brown is going to be on talking about Scott Kelly, the fact that he grew in space
He
during
grew
his time there.
2 inches in the year that he was in space. That's incredible.
So we had a listener that called up and wanted to ask how long you would have to be in space before you became 6 feet tall.
That'll be the last time I even turn your mic on. This is a pretty easy way for you to never get on the radio. That's really good. Nice move. Sorry, I can't hear you. Your mic's off. Evan Brown on the line right now from Fox News. It's true. He grew 2 inches in space, right?
It is true. Yeah, he did, which means that for me to be 6 feet, I would have to go into space for 5 years.
Okay.
But
all right. Well, we're together a little bit there. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what else? What else happened? I mean, were there any other interesting things that came out of this?
Well, a lot of things we don't know the full story yet because he just got back. He's going to be undergoing tests now for actually another full year while he's back on the planet to see
Interesting.
exactly how many body systems were affected or changed or whatnot. And, of course, he has his twin brother, Mark Kelly, that will be doing it right alongside of him, so they can really get a good look at a before and after or a control group, if you will.
Interesting.
But a lot of the concern is, first of all, skeletal structure. We know from being in space that you do lose bone mass, your bones lose calcium, your bones become quite brittle. So there are a lot of pharmaceutical methods to keeping the bone structure as healthy as possible in space. So we have to see how well his bones held up. We also have to see that going along with that, we have to see where the calcium in his bones did go because that usually gets filtered out the kidneys. It can actually cause kidney problems.
Interesting.
And we also need to know how his heart is holding up because, in zero-G, the heart doesn't have to work as hard. So there is possibility that the heart got weaker.
Interesting, yeah.
So, and on top of that, just the overall how the displaced body fluids, without gravity, body fluids just sort of float around in your body, and they sort of get squished around in different places. So that can affect your eyesight. It can affect your muscle tone. So these are the things that they're going to have to look at and really come up with a good report. Of course, they also have Mikhail Kornienko to do the same thing with. He's the Russian cosmonaut that also spent a year up there. So all of this is so we can figure out how the body does being in space that long, because if we ever send anyone to Mars, it's going to be longer than a year.
But Kornienko doesn't have a twin brother, right?
No, that's what makes the whole Kelly thing quite interesting.
Yeah. It's what is interesting to me. First of all, when you really look, here we are in 2016, and we sent a guy who just lived in space for a year, and oh, by the way, he's on a space station with the Russians. I mean, who would have predicted this 50 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And not only with the Russians, I mean, having a nice time with the Russians. Yes.
Yeah, right. And I guess I really want to look into this because I really feel that unless we stop in our busy days, we lose track of you take these things for granted. Is there a tour? Is there a virtual tour you can take online of the space station? How large is it? I mean,
it's the size of a football field, and there are a plethora of photographs and movies online. You can find them through NASA's website. You can find them on YouTube. There are just amazing photographs of A, what it looks like inside, and B, what it looks like from the outside. Every time a ship got close, either whether it was a space shuttle or a Soyuz, they would take as many photographs of the structure as they can. It's strikingly beautiful.
Yeah.
And to think about it, it really is international. We call it the International Space Station, but it's not just because we've got a bunch of people from different countries up there. The American parts were built by Americans. The Russian parts were built by Russians. The Europeans built their parts. The Japanese built their parts. They put it up in space and stuck it together, and it worked.
And it worked. Boy, it's could of all that was accomplished, the world really coming together. Yet we look at Washington right now. Look what's going on in Washington. If they could just take a little bit of a hint from them, Christine.
And that is exactly what is being said by a lot of observers across the world who are saying that some of the reinvigorated interest in NASA and the space program is because of the fact that Scott Kelly has been tweeting almost constantly pictures of flowers, things that he's growing.
It's not that they're just in space. We're in full communication with them.
Right.
You know that on the space station there is a voice-over IP telephone. They pick it up and they get a dial tone and they can call anywhere on the planet.
They've given weather reports on TV stations.
What is interesting to me is the fact that I have not been interested, and I need to change that. I paid very little attention. And Eben, you've inspired me here today, and there's video right now.
Can you see that selfie?
It's incredible.
That's a selfie of him with the Earth in the background. It's incredible.
You've inspired us today, at least me, Eben. I appreciate that.
Well, it's my pleasure, and, I hope you learned something.
All right, I will try.
Eben,
I will try.
We've got Buck in studio. He told me to ask this question just quickly on what it does to the body. With zero gravity, have we found out what it does to compression joints, your back, your knees, other parts of your body? Have there been studies?
It would sort of kind of relieve them a bit. Like I said, Scott Kelly growing 2 inches was because there was the pressure on his spine wasn't there because of gravity. So his discs, the discs of the spine, the vertebrae, actually expanded along the spinal column. That's how he got taller. So think about, how it would be on the rest of your joints. You wouldn't be putting all that pressure on your knees, on your elbows, on your shoulders. So I would imagine it would feel pretty good to be up there. And I've spoken to a couple of astronauts about this. They say the best sleep they've ever had is
Wow. Who knows? Maybe someday. Well, listen, we need you to relocate. We have a lot of allergy issues up here in upstate New York, so you'd be better off in another climate. And who knows? Maybe someday we think we're going to send you out to space. It'll really relieve your back problems. So crazy, crazy, crazy. Eben Brown, thanks so much. I appreciate the time this morning.
You got it.
All right, Eben Brown, Fox News. Hold tight. We'll come right back at WIBX.